to study session 11. Syntax, immediate constituent analysis. Introduction. This lecture introduces you to the constituent analysis approach to syntax and the kind of arguments that are used to support analysis of this kind. Objectives. At the end of this lecture, you should be able to 1. Break down a sentence into its constituents, and 2. Describe the parts of the sentence grammatically. Pretest. 1. Divide each of the following into two immediate parts and identify the construction type to which it belongs. Rainy weather, flat tires, my friend, old car. 2. Divide each of the following into two immediate parts and give each part a name. The cloud sky, my new shirt, all the brothers, our blue dress. 3. Divide each of the following into two parts and give each part a grammatical name. A man bought a new car. B. Swimming is a good exercise. C. Seeing is believing. D. People in trouble need help. Content. The notion of constituent. The term constituent is basic in syntactic analysis. It refers to a linguistic unit which is a component of a larger construction. Hence, a constituent is seen as a subpart of a sentence. Consequently, a constituent structure analysis of language tells how to break sentences down into their constituent parts, that is, their immediate constituents. This involves deciding which strings of words are and which ones are not considered to be constituents. This constituent analysis process is continued until no further subdivisions are possible. Put differently, the analysis tells you how the smallest constituents can combine to form other larger constituents until we have constructed a sentence. The major decisions, take 3. The major divisions that can be made within a construction at any level are called immediate constituents, ICs, of that construction. The elements that cannot be further reduced resulting from these ICs analysis are called the ultimate constituents of the construction. From this, we expect that there are different types of constituents, and we need to know the degree of similarities and differences between the different types. We also need to recognize which constituents can combine with other constituents to make sentences, the order in which constituents can or must occur, etc. This process involves the naming of different types of constituents for purposes of easy identification. Consider the following constructions. First constituent. Second constituent. Grammatical tie. Sentences are made up of smaller units linked by a grammatical connection. The units so connected are called constituents. Sentences are construction type whose constituents are subject and predicate. Example, the dog barked and I entered the room. Immediate constituent analysis. Wells' formulation of the theory of IC analysis is a well-known approach in this area. Its main practice is the analysis of linguistic text into two immediate parts, named constituents. There may also be analysis into 3 or 4 parts. A constituent is part of a constitute. A constitute at one stage of analysis may be a constituent of a larger constitute. The main principles of the analysis are as follows. 1. There is a basic dichotomy in actor, action parts of a full sentence type in English. These two parts can be exemplified by the sentence John worked. This is referred to as a fundamental sentence type. 2. Sentences that are longer than John worked, for example, become expansions of the fundamental sentence type. Subject and predicate, for instance. The sentence, "The students have finished their term papers," is taken to be an expansion of the shorter sentence because the students can take the place of John grammatically, and "have finished their term papers" can take the place of worked as predicate. 3. Thus, the analysis into ICs is guided by 3 conditions. It must preserve the same grammatical meaning, fit in the greatest number of environments, subject and predicate, and belong to a form class with the greatest possible variety of content. Identifying constituents. As we have seen, every sentence can be broken down into successive layers of constituents. However, not all sentences can be analyzed with as little trouble as "the dog beat the burglar." Consider the sentence, "The mouse ran up the clock." How should this be analyzed? Should we bracket "ran up" together on the assumption that these words could be replaced by a word such as climbed? Or should we bracket "up the clock" together, noting that the phrase could be replaced by a single word such as upwards? Problems of this type are solved by seeing whether the groups of words in question belong together as a constituent elsewhere. Since words that are grouped together in one sentence are likely to recur as a single constituent in other sentences. One way of checking this is to construct sentences in which the original words occur in a different order. Up the clock ran the mouse. The mouse ran the clock up. These sentences suggest that words "up the clock" should be bracketed together. Since they can be moved as a chunk to the front of the sentence, we may therefore analyze the sentence as "The mouse ran up the clock" and draw the tree diagram. Immediate constituent analysis can be illustrated in the tree diagram below. S, NP, VP, det, N, V, PP, prep, NP, det, N. The cat sat on the mat. This analysis divides the sentence into a number of chunks, each of which is then subdivided until we reach the smallest constituent with which the analysis is concerned. Each chunk or subdivision within a chunk is a constituent. The analysis explicitly sets out what can be considered as constituents, labeled bracketing. The process of grouping constituents together is known as bracketing. In addition to bracketing constituents together, each constituent is assigned to a syntactic category, a process known as labeling. Each word is labeled as a member of a word class. Cat and mat are nouns on a preposition. Sat, a. Take 2. Each word is labeled as a number of a word class. Cat and mat are nouns on a preposition. Sat, a verb, and a determiner. When words have been brought together into phrases, these two are labeled. Noun, phrase, prepositional, phrases, and verb, phrase. The structure as a whole is assigned to the category sentence. See the labeled bracketing below. S, NP, DIT, the N, CAT, VP, V, SAT, PP, PREP, ON, NP, DIT, D, NOW, MAT. We have considered some of the requirements which would have to be met by a complete syntactic description. However, this area of linguistic analysis has some limitations, for the only relevant issues are syntactic ones, that is, how to describe structures independently of meaning considerations. The concept of word is important in IC analysis, being a vital means for determining word boundaries. Wells' IC analysis recognizes the need for analysis into multiple constituents. In this, it foreshadows later developments in syntactic analysis. For example, Pike-Tagmemic's and Chomsky's transformational grammar. Wells and Pike's work have contributed a lot to linguistic studies. Wells' formulation of the theory of immediate constituents IC's analysis was the best known of its kind. IC analysis involves the analysis of linguistic text into two parts, subject and predicate. All others are expansions of these two, although IC theory, as a whole, was not a highly formalized theory of grammar. It has contributed to progress in grammatical analysis. A very important contribution made by IC analysis to grammatical analysis is the recognition of the division of grammar into morphology and syntax. The notion of constituent is basic in syntactic analysis. Study session summary. The analysis of sentence structure has been done in different ways. One of the earliest forms of analysis is immediate constituent analysis. This is the procedure which tries to divide the sentence into constituents or components along binary lines. It has made a significant contribution to syntactic analysis, even though it has its limitations. Post-test. 1. What is immediate constituent analysis, and how useful is it to syntactic analysis? 2. What is a tree diagram, and why is it useful? 3. Make a tree diagram and constituent analysis of each of the following. A. A man bought a new car. B. She was singing a song. C. The snake killed the rat. D. The snake swallowed the rat. E. The boy ate the rat. 4. Convert the tree diagrams into labeled brackets.